teachers and all what they're dealing with now and all the fun things that they get to look forward to. I know that a lot of schools have been back for a while, but the North, it started up today, I believe. And we have the amazing Lisa Lommerin. So before we go forward, so before we go forward, I want to introduce all of you guys to my show, Manifesting with Meg, Conversations with Extraordinary People. This is episode 45, and the theme today is Never Look Back. There's so much opportunity ahead. And I want us to all focus on that as we talk about sweet inspiration in September tonight. Remember, the show is about life transformation, living your dreams, spiritual inspiration, finding true happiness, and my favorite, discovering bliss. So it is time to manifest all of our dreams. And good evening, Lisa Lommerin.
Good evening, Margaret. I call you Margaret.
Oh, you can call me whatever you, as long as it's clean, because we are on Facebook Live tonight, and we will be on YouTube, and we will be on a podcast on Anchor with regards to his show afterwards. So if you miss it, or anyone you know wants to catch up on this, you can check those different sites out after the show. But I do want to remind everybody that bliss is not just an abstract idea. It's an attainable state of being. And I want all of us to focus on the fact that it is possible that we can all obtain our own personal bliss. So whoever you are, wherever you find yourself, you're just steps away from living the life you desire. And are we ready to wake up to the universe packed with possibility? So Lisa, before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that you need to set your intention before we start, because Manifesting with Meg is based upon my book, Magical Guide to Bliss, and all of the wonderful different insights that come through. So when we set our intentions between the page of 3 and 300 and I think 33 at this point, we ask you to bring all of that loving intention to the audience, so that whatever we have to share tonight will be something moving and specific to whoever is on the feed, whoever is present, and whoever wants to enjoy this wonderful party on Tuesday night, the day after Labor Day, together. So go ahead and do that, Lisa, and we will begin with wonderful introductions, because I think that for everyone to truly understand the beauty of Manifesting with Meg, the benefit is that they get to know a little bit more about you. So introducing Lisa Lommerin. She graduated from Boston College in 1991 with a degree in economics. After deciding to move to Hoboken, New Jersey, she started a professional career in the entertainment and advertising industries for years. After she realized she was unhappy and unfulfilled, don't we all know that kind of experience, Lee? She intuitively knew something better was out there, and she went for it. She stated teaching has always been her passion, so she knew that as an undergraduate in Boston College, she worked as an RA, and she knew that she was discovering a job that she could actually engage with people on such a way to inspire them to go beyond their imagination and learn more about life. So that's how it took her to New Jersey and the route of teaching trainer program, the alternative route of teaching training program, where she quit her city job, which I was, because I used to go to New York all the time, so it was wonderful. But she quit her city job, moved to New Jersey, and then she started to apply for programs as English language arts and science teacher in a Catholic school in Hoboken in 2001, which is a really interesting time to be in Hoboken, was in 2001 because of 9/11. But we'll get into that as well, Lee. And then she went on to earn her master's degree from DeSalle University in teaching English as a second language, which was something of her passion as well. So she, after taking several years off, because she is a mother of twin girls, she decided to go back and teach middle school, covering the science teacher's maternity leave. And now she's back on the job, doing what she loves and doing what she does best, is teaching the young minds and inspiring them to engage all that is possible in their lives. Now, especially during this pandemic, she's at the forefront of making sure that the show does in fact go on, which is in fact what they started to do today, and then what followed up, or what built up to today. So I want you to all keep in mind that, all of our teachers, certainly all over the country, are going back to schools and probably are at the forefront, literally, of this entire experience of us jumping back into the world again. So we want to really hold them in the highest esteem for doing that and teaching our young minds. And in her spare times with her daughter, she's actually volunteered at All for One Pet Rescue and Adoption in Toms River, New Jersey. Oh, And my favorite part of her bio is that she recommends New Girl on Netflix for any of you looking to basically binge watch your life away and laugh, because God only knows we all need some laughter in our lives these days. So without further ado, oh, I forgot. She's a big lover of dogs, like I said. She has 3, which I'm sure she's going to talk about: a guinea pig and, basically a gecko, which, why not add that to the mix as well? She has been my best friend for over 30 years and is the godmother of my daughter. And I just adore her. She's so much fun. She's an extraordinary woman. With all of you are going to know about that when we talk during this interview. Get ready to be empowered to make changes, because this girl is ready to bring her dazzle, razzle, and shine. So without further ado, Lisa, tell us a little bit about you.
Wow, that was an amazing introduction. I forgot I did some of that stuff. Yeah, well, right now is our first, really our second official day back. Our district still doesn't have children, but we're pretty in it right now, getting ready for the kids to come back on Thursday. My daughter started today with virtual learning, and it's a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of technology to learn. There's a lot of, I think, fears about how it's going to go technologically, and also virus way. We're hoping that everything can just stay safe and we can keep running the school, because I think kids really, really need the interaction. Even if it's just a couple of days a week, I think it's going to be really good if we can keep that going. So I know we've all been working really hard to try to make that possible for the kids and for the grown-ups. Keep it safe and keep it healthy, and so we can keep learning. We can keep teaching and learning and helping the community out, really.
I think that that's really important, because when you guys are back on the stump teaching and doing what you think you're doing, and everything with all the other additional stresses, you are certainly helping your communities actually get back to a semblance of this new normal and moving it forward, and doing it probably, hopefully, in the most safe way possible. I know that the experience this past year, even when they started out with regard to teaching, and when everybody started shutting down, since you are in New Jersey, that must have been kind of chaotic and a little, tell us a little bit about that as well.
Well, it was a Friday, and we had an end of day staff meeting, and they said, we may have to shut down sometime next week, or we're going to get ready just in case. And that Monday, we were closed.
That was just in case.
That was it. That was it. It was March 13th, and we closed that following Monday with no preparation, really. I mean, I had thrown some stuff in my bag. They said, get ready for a maybe, just in case.
Wow.
But no one was really prepared to be out for the rest of the year, and it really into this year. The big push, I think, for this year is to change everyone's mindset, because last year we went home in an emergency,
right,
and shut down, and we really weren't prepared. We were just kind of piecing things together on Google Classroom. And so this year we want it to be more live instruction. We want it to be much more as close to normal for the kids as we can make it. So it's not like a Band-Aid, like, here, we're going to throw some assignments your way. We're actually going to try to teach the curriculum in a good, successful way during this. So
I think it's really important that, I love this particular quote that you sent to me, and it pretty much, standing together, not apart. And I think this comes in many ways, coming off of the events of the summer, and then going back into a school that is pretty diverse. Your school runs the gamut with regard to all the kids, especially with your English as a second language students. Can you tell me about how you guys are preparing for embracing this experience in a school setting, and with the parameters of a public school, of course?
Well, I mean, it really is getting back to the whole community idea, and especially since this happened, we've really had to rely a lot on families. And last spring was a great example. We sent the kids home and said, here, you got, parents have to help out. Like, we can't be there with your kids.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pick up this end of it while we're here. And really, even now, my parents are worried. Parents have to work. That's a huge deal, and the schools are trying their best to get the kids back in, even just from that aspect, because parents have to work. And if you have little children and you can't take that time, like, what do you do? So working hand in hand with families is, I think, hugely important. And I think the districts have been really trying to do that. It's not easy and it's not perfect, but I know for my families, I try to be there via Google Voice, phone calls, emails, whatever, because a lot of times the parents may not understand English or read English, so the websites, although we do have website translations, a lot of times families are more comfortable reaching out to the teacher, which ends up being me, like, and asking me, when is school starting? What can I expect? The kids need to be on just the basic questions of how everything's going to run. So that becomes my role. A lot of my role in my job as an ESL teacher is helping out the families to navigate like a new school culture. And now it's like a new school culture.
Yeah.
Post-COVID. One we're all still figuring out. I don't think anyone really has the answers as to how this is actually going to end up going, but we're going day by day, we had a nice PD this morning from a lovely woman, Sarah Stevenson, who does mindfulness and talked about being positively and taking a breath and doing that with your kids, with your students, because
that's awesome.
They're going to be stressed too. They are stressed. They're stressed in, normal times. So
they're engaging mindfulness in the schools now too.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Our district has started in on this last year or the year before. And it's good. It's good for the teachers. It's good for the students. Take 2 minutes, deep breathing, relax.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Those kinds of exercises.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Stress.
So I have a question with you with regard to the theme tonight. Our theme tonight is never look back. There's so much opportunity ahead. And the quote we have here is never look back unless you're planning to in fact go that way. And I think that most of us can really agree that nobody wants to go backwards, because what just happened is kind of like, I think we're all in a little bit of a shell shock. But I love the fact that, we just got back from Labor Day. We're setting out on what looks like to be an interesting school year, like you've indicated. I love that we're using mindfulness into the whole parameters. But, it's so exciting to be able to recognize that you and your other teachers are navigating this very unusual circumstances in a way, but time to move forward with our chins up, and smiling on our faces, basically, because what's the alternative now? I mean, we can sit there and focus on what happened that will hold us down, but these kids nobody's going to benefit from that. So the key, I guess, is to look ahead and get excited by the possibilities of what can be. So tell me how you interpret this these days.
We've been talking, and I've been talking a lot about, like, let's look at the silver linings.
I like that.
There's a lot. I think it's been a really, obviously it's a very difficult time. I've been very, very lucky, like COVID, knock on wood, it's not touched my family, but I know it has touched a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I know it's been a terrible time, but there's always good that comes with the bad. And I think one of the things I was saying is I found most of the students saying how much they missed school, which is not something that I think you'd expect to hear, how they want to come back. The majority of the kids want to be back in school. They don't like working at home. They don't like the remote. They didn't like the remote. And I'm hoping that brings a better appreciation for students when they do get back, because they're not going to be back full time. They'll be back hybrid. Some are choosing still to do remote, but hopefully for them it'll be better too, because we're improving our technology and we'll have live instruction. But I think that was a positive message to hear from students, when we were going through this tough time of being shut down, that they didn't want to be there. They wanted to be back in school. They wanted to be learning in classrooms. They wanted to be interacting with their classmates and socializing too, but they also wanted to be learning from a teacher and having that kind of give and take that they get in the classroom.
I love that you said that, because I think it's really important to note that, they used to complain about going to school, but now they're all embracing the fact that they want to go to school again, to have their friends around them, to really experience, and what they may have taken for granted is very different now. So that's amazing. And I think that that's a really amazing point that you make. Certainly, as this is truly, something that they missed, like you were saying, and now it's really something they're looking forward to, which is, who would have thought, that would be a really upside, right? Like a good thing.
Yeah, from hard times, you learn some appreciation, I think, for things that maybe you took for granted.
Yeah.
Like your education. Not,
yeah.
I don't think most kids, not that they don't value it, but I don't think when it gets taken away from you and you're stuck in your house and trying to navigate this on your own, it's not so fun.
I think a really important thing with like the whole word, because I love words. When you're talking about education, you think about to lead yourself out of something. And I love the concept with education and what people are going back to school right now is that you're leading yourself out of something that was mired and stuck, because that's basically we're in like a holding pattern for so long. Right. That now we get to like launch ourselves out through education mostly, because that's where the kids are starting. That's the colleges that went back. So, interestingly enough, that you were saying before when we were talking, what was your intention for this evening? And I loved what you said. Why don't you go share that with the audience as well?
My intention is how to proceed with a positive mindset in this climate, in this climate of fear, in this climate of virus, and there's all kinds of unrest aside from the virus in our society. How to proceed with a positive mindset, and I know we talk about this in our Beachbody group too, like keeping your negative thoughts down, keep your positive mindset up. Yeah. Look at things in a positive way, and I think it's so important right now because it'd be super easy. It's super easy to get negative. It's super easy to get caught up in negative conversations, in negative thoughts. Just turn on the TV, walk outside, go to the store. I mean, you can get into an argument with anyone you want nowadays. So I think it's so important to try to keep your head in a good space right now.
I heard this thing is very funny. 2020, make it stop. That's what I saw. It's like, make it stop. I think everyone is just really tired. And I think that the whole thing is that when you engage, it exhausts you more. So not to dissuade engagement, but, you definitely need time to recharge, like you're saying, and focus and evaluate what you're bringing to the table, which right. I think is exactly what you're saying as far as a different path forward. You get to choose at this point. So I think that's amazing. How do you get up in the morning every day and make that effort to start in a positive, where your like potential is limitless, like you said here. There's no end to what you're capable of. If you can see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. I love that quote, Lisa. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. I know, it's a great quote. Mornings, I gotta say, I'm not a morning person.
There's no way to keep waking.
Yeah, I'm a night person, and I have an early time to be at work every day. But I think that's why, in the grander scheme of things, finding a career that you're passionate about, so that when you get to work at 7:30 in the morning as a non-morning person, that my passion for my job wakes me up. My kids, my students, I love working with my students. They walk in and I'm ready to go. Like, yeah, probably not before that, honestly. Like, I have a few sips of coffee and then the kids come in and here we go. It's ready to start my day.
And how different is this kind of career from what you were doing before in the entertainment industry? I mean, imagine it's a total, shift.
Yeah, it was a lot more office work. I had a few different careers. I worked in advertising and a tabletop recording studio. I was a studio manager where they recorded the food shots for McDonald's, like the burgers. I mean, they were fun jobs, I have to say. I was in my 20s. They were interesting. I met some interesting people, had some fun experiences, and learned a lot. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I didn't want to be there all day. I wasn't excited about what we were doing. It was fun and it was interesting, but it didn't really grab me.
So what would your kids say if they saw these pictures? I mean,
that's last week.
That was last week. No, I do love it. By the way, so you mentioned Beachbody, and I love that you mentioned that, because certainly a lot of people are like they were looking for ways in which, getting back into like some kind of semblance of shape. Certainly when your body feels stronger, your mind follows, which we were talking about before. But tell me, I mean, I know that the fun thing about us is, I think that the fact is you like bring some kind of humor to every situation. Life becomes a lot more fun. So certainly, that's not where you put the on your head. But why don't you tell me how you found Beachbody and how has it been helpful to you?
Yeah, Beachbody's great. I found it from my friend Miranda, who's going to be on your show in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
She teaches with me at my middle school. She's an ELA teacher. She's a great person. And I had seen her posting on Facebook about, being healthy and having a good, healthy lifestyle and working out. And I'd been looking for some kind of fitness program. And since quarantine, I had gone from, walking a lot just in my job to, rarely getting off my couch. So I contacted her and she introduced me to Beachbody, and we started workout groups in the morning on Zoom. And then you also work out on your own, and they provide you with, nutritional guidance and shakes if you want them. And you kind of do it at your own pace, and it's been great. And then Meg, you joined too with us, and it's been just fun working out in the morning. And that's what's been getting me up in the morning to do workouts with you guys.
The thing is what you were saying before is that you said, well, of course I get jealous of you hanging out with other people, so I need to join you. Where it actually was like looking for something. I need something to feel like, and someone was saying today, you do something that is different if you're not enjoying what experiencing you're having. So, you don't want to do the same thing over and over and get the same result. It's insanity, right? So you do something actually different. And this is something different because I had heard about Beachbody from my good friend, Christina Maris, who is also a coach. But, because you were going, I was like, I had a reason to go over the morning and see my best friend, hang out, so there's an added incentive. And, certainly talking to walls doesn't work after a while. So, and you are an amazing coach. And I'm telling you this, people, if you are interested in Beachbody, Lisa's a great coach, and Miranda and the whole team, but you really encourage people at their own pace to make those changes. So and tell us, your results have been amazing with regards to the whole, how many months have you been doing this? And
I started at the beginning of June, so 3 full months. And I've seen huge changes, like fitness wise, in my body, in my energy level, in my strength, in my achiness, because I'm not as achy anymore. It's more like soreness from workouts, but just like I feel like I gained some years back,
really that's
gained
awesome.
years back in my body, and I feel much better. And even just like the small, I can't do a diet. I never could. But just following good nutrition has also helped a lot, because I realized, like, I always ate healthy, but I think years have gone by where I realized that I've, kind of gotten away from that a little bit, a little too much carbs and not really any vegetables mostly. So just making those small changes has made a huge difference in just how I feel in general, in my general health every day. It's been great.
And I got to mention too, a lot of the women and men that do this are 40 something. I mean, and they're strong, and they're like strong. They like what they're doing, like to change their body compositions with, these 30-minute workouts that, are easily added into your schedule. And then you might fall in love with Joel Freeman if he's watching, because he does, what is it? The
10 rounds boxing.
Oh my God.
Boxing.
I tell them what 10 rounds is about, because so much fun, and especially
it's a great if you like boxing, or if you were interested in trying some kind of workout program like that, this teaches you all the basic boxing moves and punches and jabs and even footwork. And while you're doing that with Joel, who's a great trainer and easy on the eyes, you get like this great workout.
I didn't have a picture of him. I should have had a picture of him. They would be like so over that. Like literally, we pretend that he's our friend, which is kind of stalking, but we're not going to stalk him. But it's like, and he takes you around the country and all these different places, right, Lee?
Yeah.
So it's definitely fun. And then we have our group at 8, and then I we have another group that we were doing community workouts, but it really made,
Well, I think that's really the essence of it, is not so much just the videos. It's the accountability, it's the community, it's doing it with other people and checking in with each other on. We have a little Facebook group where you check in, and if you're not having a great day, others will lift you up. And I think that's where it's at, for me, community. I think most people would say.
But that's like kind of what you were saying before, is like, standing together. The community is so important, because honestly, right now we're also maybe not as isolated as before, still isolated, but like literally, I look at you and I think that maybe this might be where all you need is a great friend and a full tank of gas. But until you get that, then Beachbody might be a great place to start, or Peloton, or whatever little group that you have, just to engage in the community.
Find it.
Wherever you can find it. And then you certainly can find your friends and find your community, like you were saying, which is really important. And I think it's really important as well, because it's so much easier to get through the challenging times with a community that's really solid. And certainly I'm grateful to you for that, because you introduced me. And even though I might want to turn around and show up in my life with Flat Lisa, because she's coming out tonight, because she had to come out. Yeah. Tell the audience a little bit about Flat Lisa.
Oh my God. I was just thinking, I'm like, I still kind of look like her. I'm like, one of these days this is not going to look like me anymore. It's going to be so many years since that picture was taken.
Okay, well,
I think that's like a good 10 years ago. That picture.
Well, let's talk. So we basically went to college together, and I wish I had more pictures of all. I'm going to take this one out, and so everyone can see our wonderful pictures when we were in college together, and since we're away from each other a lot, and we always have friends, and my friend Tracy Livingston is on as well. She was my roommate in college too, and we had a lot of fun together. And there's like this thing after you graduate from college, is when you go out into the real world and they get these friends ripped away from you. Everyone gets ripped away from you, and you're like in this new world, and you're like, what happened to that wonderful little microcosm of life where we all got to go play together and drink shots of aguardiente together, and just really, have that camaraderie that unfortunately we can try to recreate in later life, but it doesn't seem like we'll ever have that again, and certainly nursing homes aren't really a hot spot to be in lately these days, so bottom line is, while we're young, so what I would do is I put a picture of Lisa waving at me, and I took her with me where I would go. So I would certainly think that I had my best friend. And she has been to some really awesome parties, Lisa, right?
She has.
She showed up in some really, totally. Flat Lisa gets a call out all over the country. So I had to put her out tonight because, she as important to the journey as anybody else I know. And we're going to leave her up here for a little longer, because as I introduce your extraordinariness to the world, people need to know Flat Lisa a little bit more, because who knows after my book gets launched where she's going to be showing up. So Lisa and Flat Lisa, there you go. Anybody wants to get to know her better, I can introduce you. No, but it's kind of like, think about it. Like someone looks at you like, hi. It's like, it's engaging. People want to talk to you. They're enjoying the conversation. So interestingly enough, I love this show because I get to highlight extraordinary people, which you are certainly one of them, and the different way we all embrace the spirit of learning in this world, and how we all manifest the lives of our dreams in this world. And one of the things that since you basically took a career that you had and you jumped into a whole other career, and you took that leap of faith, to do so and start, investigating, I would love for you to share what are the things that have helped you move forward in life.
You mean from when I changed my career, like why I changed my career?
Yeah, so we have this is about the month of sweet inspiration, and people are looking to get inspired, and maybe they feel like they're stuck in a rut or a funk or something to that effect. Maybe there's something that you can share from your own personal experience.
Yeah, no, I just wasn't happy doing the jobs I was doing. I really wasn't. I go home at night, you just know when you're not satisfied, you're not fulfilled in your job. And for me, it was a big deal. And I couldn't settle with it. And in college, I was an RA in college. I paid for my room and board, but it also gave me an amazing experience. I did it for 2 years, once with freshmen. I had freshman girls, and then I did it for sophomores when I was a senior. And I loved working with the students. Now, they were only a year or two younger than me, but it was still, programming, events for the kids, getting to know them, helping them out, especially with freshmen, helping them acclimate to college. And I enjoyed that so much. And I remember having a conversation with my friend Rob, Rob Fernandez.
Right.
It was one of those conversations. We were seniors and we were talking about what we were going to do next. And I said, I think I might want to do teaching. And Rob was like, yeah, he was also an RA. He's like, yeah, I think that would be good for you. I was like, it just was this cathartic moment where I was like, I think that's what I want to do. And of course I got sidetracked because I ended up moving to New York to be by my family. And then I needed a job to pay my rent in Hoboken where I wanted to live. And I got a little sidetracked for a couple of years, which was fine too. I got a lot of great experiences that way too. But I eventually obviously came back to teaching probably 9 or 10 years later. And so glad I did. And they say, like, think about things that you naturally like to do, that you're naturally good at, that you naturally find fulfillment in. And it doesn't need to necessarily be a job that you're doing now. It could be something, a hobby of yours, something that you've always liked doing. And if you're unhappy with your job, life's too short.
I love
to spend all those hours.
I love that you said, think about things that you're naturally good at, because basically, we kind of shun those things. They're too easy, and life should be hard. There should be work involved. But those things that come effortlessly to us are our gifts and our talents. And that really is something that I love that you put that out there into the world.
And that's not to say that you won't work. I mean, teaching is hard work, but you have to know what you're doing at your core. You have to have something to give. You have to love working with kids. You have to there's pieces of it that you can't learn. You can know all the stuff, but if you don't have a passion for it, I think we're talking about passion. If you don't have a passion for it, you don't have some natural talent to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to be miserable.
And it's really important that we have good teachers, because they are the ones who inspire people early on in life to actually engage what is their calling, what is their passion, and so I mean, imagine, I'm telling you this, Lisa, not everyone should be a teacher. I mean, it's clear, like, some people have so little patience that if you could put them in a room of young children, it would be an ugly situation. Literally, they should not be there. Some people shouldn't be managers. Some people shouldn't be this. But if you feel a calling to something, that's what I'm saying with the effortlessness of that passionate, alignment with your purpose, then it's a totally different situation. And your impact has an opportunity to have ripple effects around the globe with regard to these kids and what they could possibly do in their life, which is something that you have a superpower in, because you're really good at it. You're really, really good at it. And you have incredible patience. My God, I can't even, literally. That's why God gave you twins, Lisa. That's why.
Well, as teachers, I know I've had this conversation with my other fellow teachers, that we need to have as much patience with our own kids, as we have with our students.
Well, you definitely got training, because God thought you not only could you do one child well, you got double trouble, and there you go. So you were definitely.
That's exactly right.
You're definitely got double trouble. One of the things that also I wanted to ask you about was how do you empower yourself to get beyond obstacles when they show up? Because it's inevitable. Life is ups and downs, ins and outs, and we've both been through some serious grieving processes with, you with both your parents, me with my mom. Certainly I benefited from you being there to support me when I was going through that too, because you knew, and it was such a weird time, because it's such an intangible until you actually walk the path. But it's interesting, because I think most things when you're dealing with challenges are intangibles until you walk the path. It's just then it's like chopping down the brush under the trees and everything, and then you leave the path. So the next time around it's not so hard. But as far as obstacles and empowering you past it, what is it that you do initially when you see challenges in your life?
Well, like you said, like, you don't know until you're walking the path. Like, I lost my dad when I was a lot younger, and my mom several years ago, and that was unexpected. And I think that's life says that to you. You're going along, and suddenly, atomic bomb drops into your life, and you have to deal with it. And my mom used to say, you have two choices, up or down. And I think a lot of my teachings from my parents have come into play. I had wonderful, wonderful parents. Mm-hmm. And so, when times get tough, I've been down, and it's been, not so pretty, and not handled it well at first, but you have to at some point find a way to pick yourself up. I have a family, I have kids. Like, you can't lay in bed all day. Yeah. You can't give up. And even if you don't have those things, I think you do have a choice. If you're alive, if you wake up breathing and you can get out of bed every day, start there. and be grateful. And I think gratitude, which is what I'm really trying to practice a lot more, gratitude is a huge help to moving you forward, when especially when you aren't in a good place in your life, when things are not going well or are tragically not going well. You need to have some gratitude and go slow, do a little at a time, and build forward, build yourself up with little positive things each day, even if it's only one little, like, okay, I got out of bed today, and I made myself a cup of coffee. Sometimes people are that low. And then eventually, the next day you'll get out of the house. The next day you'll take a shower and put on some clothes and get out of the house. And the next day, a little more each day, until you can get back on the track and keep going.
I love that. You sent this quote. It was something that was really impactful for you. It's not the strength of the body that counts, but the strength of the spirit, which goes and plays into what you just said there. The atomic bomb clearly brings to mind how it does feel when you're initially facing something that's so incredibly shocking to your system. At the same time, if this day shall pass, then the next day will come again, and I will be better off that day. And I think that's an amazing thing when you are actually able to have the mindfulness and awareness, which, what would you say is the most, and this is going to be like, interesting. What would you say about your story is the thing that has actually defined you, the person, Lisa?
The biggest thing?
Yeah. What is that thing that, that story that you would not be who you are today without this thing happening in your life?
I think it's my family, my parents, having my sister, and losing my parents, and what my parents taught me about going on. My dad was sick a lot of when I was young as a kid. He had a lot of time in hospitals, and we learned a lot as a family growing up. About taking care of each other, about worry about losing your parent as a child. And then luckily my dad lived until I was in my 20s. So, he got to see a lot more than we thought. I think that defined me a lot. I think about life, and that it's not permanent for any of us. I want to make the most of it. With Chadwick Boseman suddenly dying this week, I think a lot of people have that on their mind. I've been reading a lot of quotes from people that worked with him or knew him, and it's just like amazing. I think these are like little reminders. And one of the quotes I just read today, which I thought was amazing, I think it was his quote that said, "Take your time, but don't waste your time."
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was so powerful.
I like that.
I was going to say, I think other people help you through these times too. You look at what everyone else is going through around you. And again, this brings us back to community. You're not alone. There are people all around us who are going through stuff. So you get up for them. You get up and you go.
There's a woman who's on the feed right now. Her name's Camellia, and she and I met through social media and Facebook. But I love seeing her when she shows up. It's talk about different kinds of community, and how we are defining those things that we used to take as if they would never happen. So opening up the world to people. And then certainly, she works in the hospital industry that, basically she's seeing a lot of craziness happening. But, the fact is that, like you're saying, the impact, on your life, on another, I was just thinking about the synchronicities and how impactful that was too. But I want to go back to your dad because, I knew your dad, I knew your mom, obviously. And your dad was just a larger than life guy. And he always had a smile on his face, and literally you felt like the Italian, a big hug when you walked into the house. At least that's what I remember. Plus, we were in our 20s too. But Phil was a great guy. My
dad was such a gregarious, big presence in the world, and big. My dad was 6'3", tall, strapping.
It's so amazing to think about how those people in your life impact your presence and your future. And then when you engage your friends, also they get impacted by those people that engage. For me, I know you, but I know that you are definitely, something that has arisen because of the roots that have been laid by your parents. And that's amazing. And I think that with sweet inspiration, keeping that in mind, and the whole idea of don't look back, there's opportunity ahead, the celebration and moving forward of even those things that are challenging in our life. So I love this part of our conversation. It's when we start to manifest. And I love, you coming forward. You could be the catalyst to so many other people's, process of their life and how they move forward and how they challenge. So time to manifest, because I think that what you're trying to say, the path forward is about possibilities and positivity. And one more thing, because I love that you gave me this quote, is you're not too old and it's not too late. There's never a too old date. You always show up, then it's always an opportunity. So I want to point that out before we even go into the manifesting, that keep that in mind, because
100%.
So what does that mean to you, Lisa? What does that quote mean to you?
Because you can get caught up in age. Age is just a number. Like, you're still alive. You're alive. You're kicking. You still have a chance. Just go for it. Go for whatever you want in this life. It's your life. Do it.
Yeah, do it.
Try it.
You're never too old and it's not too late. So do those things, show up where you're going to show up. I think that's amazing. And as we manifest, coming from a point where we know what can happen, we don't take for granted, like you said with Chadwick Boseman, don't take for granted, because, take your time, but don't waste your time. I love that, Lisa.
No, isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
I just read that today. I'm like, wow, that's pretty powerful.
In his so many short years, he changed a whole generation and many generations of people who saw him show up as the Black Panther, and Wakanda Forever, and changing the whole, conversation with regard to, how people interact with other ethnicities and diversity and all of the above. So as we go forward, taking our time, but not wasting our time, what is important to you now, Lisa?
I'd say my kids and my family. That's number one. That's my whole focus. I feel like that's where I'm at in my life. That's really what I want to give, spend my time giving to them as much as I can, as good as I can, good days and bad days. For me, that is absolutely number one, the most important thing. Family, friends, work,
and your dog.
Well, our dogs, our fleet of dogs, our animals, and just trying to also help shepherd them, our kids, through this time has been challenging, I think, for all parents.
Now you have twins, Sydney and Ashley, and they're fraternal, but they're very different from each other. How has that been, especially when they're two teenage girls in the house during quarantine? Woo!
They do pretty well. I mean, they've always gotten along really well, really well. As they've gotten older, I'd say there's a little more one wants to hang out with the other more than, there's some of how come you don't want to, especially now that we're trapped in the house and they're bored and they haven't really been able to see their friends. So they get a little sick of each other and have to get some space, but it's been okay. I think overall, they've gotten closer, because they realize there's not a lot of options for hanging out with kids like there used to be. So they do take advantage much more, I think, than they did in the beginning of hanging out with each other, of telling us to, let us have our sister time, leave us alone.
Get out. Oh my God. Oh, I love that how you use the word trapped in the house. It clearly, it goes further to say that it's been a joyous time in the house,
Well, I mean, and we're in New Jersey, so it was a little different than in Florida. Truly, we didn't leave for. Everything was closed. We didn't want them out. The numbers were higher here, so yes, trapped in the house.
I love that you say trapped, and I think that I just kind of went crazy with the screen, so I apologize. But my technological savvy. But we learned a lot of wonderful things being trapped in the house, literally. So I think that, the fact that you get to value your children and spend more time with them, get to know them better during this time forcibly, maybe, forcible solitary confinement.
Forced family fun.
Definitely.
With us.
Well, you guys, the funny thing is that you you use tools to manifest, and you're a very manifesting person. You believe in the possibilities, and I know you for a long time that, certainly, and Mitch is and Michelle's on the feed is right now too. My friends are really, really empowering people. Like certainly, and the bond of friendship is really important, and time can go by and time can pass, and you show up again because those wonderful roots that you've laid as far as your friendships, and we know each other's story, and we know each other, and it's kind of like if you pick up the phone, you say hello. I think with regard to like manifesting your life, the fact that you've made those kind of connections goes a long way. So tell me your best tools and practices that you've used to manifest your incredible journey so far.
I'd say my tribe, my family, my friends. That's number one, for support, for encouragement, just knowing you guys are there. I think that's like where I get a lot of my strength from. Like I said, my family, my parents' teachings in my head.
Well, do you have a technique that you use that, like, say, I want to bring in magical something, because that's me, right? You would use another word, but do you have a way about which you're processing, you go about, visualizing, or?
I think it's definitely visualizing for me, like, what you want, like long-term goals. I think right now, like I said, I'm more like focused on my family, but when I was career focusing, it was like, okay, so when I knew I kind of wanted to get out of my job, but I didn't really have a teaching option yet, I started doing like volunteer tutoring at night at a local public school for kids. So I'd do my day job at night, and then I'd volunteer because I wanted to start getting into that, first of all, to make sure that I still wanted to, do that profession, but to start getting my feet wet, start small, take small steps, but take steps every day. I think that's kind of how I operate. Like, just keep going. I think that's a common phrase now, but it's so true. Like, if you know what you want, you have to have patience, and you have to put the time and the effort in. And it can take a lot of time, and it can take a lot of effort, but just do something small every day towards your goal, and eventually it starts all coming together.
I like that you said volunteer, because actually volunteer is a way in which you can get a segue, a vision into what you think you might like. And it's not a commit, like a full-fledged commitment, really. I mean, you have to volunteer and show up when you volunteer. You don't want to flake out.
You have to show up. Yes. Yeah. Show up is a good phrase. Show up. You have to show up to your life, and you have to try things out and volunteer. And true. And you don't have to commit. And it also, you'll get hired if you want to volunteer. It's not the same as getting a job, which may be a little tougher. So it gets you into the mix.
I'd like to like work off of that as well. Oh, look, George Famakidas is on. Wave, hello, George. Volunteering too is also something that I found very valuable, because I used to intern. I used to intern, and I used to interview people who were intern, people who show up and volunteer, especially in job settings when you're really interested, you want to know more. You can figure out if you really love it or you don't love it. So the bottom line is, it's a great opportunity.
100%. I think it's an excellent way to start, even if you just want to start a new hobby. It doesn't have to be a whole big thing like a career change. Maybe you want to learn how to sail. So, I don't know, get a little boat for your bathtub at night and try that out.
I have to show George Flat Lisa. He can get a kick out of that. Like, hi, the very earnest Lisa. Anyway, I had to do that. So that was for you, George, out there. I know I saw you, so I wanted to send out Lisa. But I do want to follow up with, on a more serious note, also, because we're very dedicated people.
I'm very serious together.
I wanted to point out, I'm very serious, totally serious. I want to point out opportunities to laugh. And one of the things I value with you more than anything is laughter. And it's because you can just totally be completely stupid. Literally, we call out the fun ball. Oh, George says he loves it. Awesome. But it's true, because George knows how much fun we are. Literally.
I know. Oh my God. All we did was laugh.
We all laughed, but there's something. But even today, you can bring levity to any situation through laughter. So I had to mention, I couldn't find a great thing to see, but one of the things that we love now is New Girl, and it kind of brings you back to the time of your life when you were young, and you were like, everybody was engaged. That was something, and I love that George is here, because in Miami we had that group and community, especially
we were around their age,
Yes,
we were. 30s, which I still think in my head that I am, but not.
I don't even think we were that old. We were younger. We were like in our late 20s, Lee.
Yeah.
We weren't even that old. But the thing is that, we did baseball, we did softball together. We did like all of those things that you engage in, that community idea that you were speaking of earlier, and how much more joy and happiness and laughter we felt. I know our time is pretty much, and we're in isolation still a little bit, but back to those things that you really value and those visualizing, having that happen to you again. I guess it's really with Beachbody, with Beachbody and how you're with those communities of people who are doing things that are healthy together, right? So I know that that's something. And okay, so tell us about New Girl. I have to bring a New Girl. You guys, I'm dying.
It's like we're promoting a show. Oh no, I mean, I New Girl's a great show. My niece turned me on to it, and in quarantine, I was just looking for a new show to binge watch, something fun, quick, 30-minute little sitcom. It's funny if you want to laugh and take yourself back to that time in your life where you were living with your friends and going out a lot and trying to figure out your life. It's a great show for that.
And I like to pretend that I live in that little, like literally. And we have Miranda and Grace is on too, people who we love and we like, who are part of our community at large, which has become really a family to all of us, because once people are in, we kind of like welcome them with both arms, very inclusive, the Italian spirit of, join the party. It's a big celebration rather than being exclusive. So that's generally what they did. Like they live in this little apartment with all these people and they're just hysterical. They like, Schmidt and my friends and Jessica. So but I'm just saying, it's kind of good because these shows that you watch that make you laugh are really good levity. I really prefer to watch things like that than things that make me want to cry, which is the news every night. So,
100%.
Which is amazing. So Miranda says, love you ladies. We love you too, Miranda. We were talking about how wonderful of a coach you are and what a great community builder that your community
is. She's a force at work too.
Oh,
she is.
Of course.
At work, she helps us out so much.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So as you guys start off with Kevin Colton's watching too from Boston College. Yay! BC is representing tonight. I love that. And did you think that you were going to be called out when you showed up on my feed? No, but literally, remember when we were all leaving and like, come on, it's like, and I like that at least Facebook allows that opportunity to come back together again, in a different setting clearly, but, with the memories and with the foundations laid and with the friendships made, I think. Anyway, so like, we're really super excited that, everyone is really showing up in their own circles, because I think the more openly we interlace our communities, because we are more alike than we're different, then I love that you started off with that as far as the path forward and all of this notion about the inspirational, never look back. There's so much opportunity ahead. So it's September, the fall's starting, school's starting for you guys, school started for us. Like, let's all look for the opportunities ahead. So at the beginning of the interview, I asked you to pick a number and set your intention. And then I asked you to set intention, then pick a number that matches a page in the book. So go ahead and tell us what your number was, and then what's your intention.
My number is 77.
Oh, 77. God, that's a real common number lately, because I love the neurology around that. It's very, and what is your intention, Lee?
You're talking about my intention for tonight?
Yes, your intention for tonight, because we are very intentional.
To walk forward in the climate of the world today with a positive mindset, to stay positive, to look for the silver linings, to problem solve, not worry. I think those are super, super, super important, especially nowadays. Stay positive, stay on the bright side of things.
Not worry. So don't go into the fear. Stay away from the dark, Caroline.
Focus on the facts, not the fear.
I love that. And focus on the facts, not the fear. I love that. So why don't you read for us the page 77 of the Master Guide to Bliss.
Hold, please.
I do love the fact that we went to Boston College, because that school is rocking. And my husband even says it all the time. He's like, everybody from BC loves BC, because I think everybody comes with the whole,
community.
Yeah, community. It is. It's absolutely community, Lise. I agree. Go ahead. Now it's all you.
All right. This is from March 9th. Be open to wisdom from unlikely sources. Should I read the whole page?
Yes.
Okay. I'm concentrating on staying healthy, having peace, being happy, remembering what is important, taking in nature, animals, spending time reading, and trying to understand the universe where science and the spiritual meet. That's from Joan Jett. Wow. Cool. That's awesome. She's love that.
Star, literally.
Literally, she's a rock star. Today is a great day to make amazing statements of resolution, setting out positive affirmations toward the goal of living an exceptional life. If you map out a successful start, you are ready and welcome inspiration from a variety of sources. Wisdom arrives in many shapes and forms. When you open your mind to life's daily invitations, even the unlikeliest people or places can offer you life-changing advice that could be the catalyst to great things. Blessings come as you set the intention to live from a place of awareness. Relationships blossom and flourish when you focus on ways to be healthier, more peaceful, and happier in both body and mind. Perspectives change when you step out of the comfortable box you have settled in, getting the benefits of looking at the universe from both a scientific and spiritual context. Resolve to seek a bit of inspiration from a bit of information received, and do your best to not reject the message because of the messenger. Go out into the world with worthy goals and open your mind and heart to all the angels that will help you achieve them along the way.
Yep.
Follow your bliss and rock on while welcoming in what you need to hear, blessed from all sources. I think that was kind of right on point with my intention.
Usually it is. Isn't that magical guide? That's crazy magical guide. That crazy magical guide. Anyway, no, I just wanted to say that, certainly I love the fact that you are having everyone focus on the facts and not the fear. And I think that that's really important in everything. We're not talking about any specifics. That's everything. The facts show. I would say the evidence shows that I am not
talking about virus facts. I'm just in general.
In general, but the fact is that those are what we build our life upon. The facts. So when we have new experiences in life, it broadens our understanding of the world. So you're not acting as if you were a young child anymore. You're acting as an adult because you've got more things to base your life against. When we grow and mature, generally that's the case. So I wanted to this is like where I get to benefit from the conversation so much, because I think that you've given us so much wisdom tonight. I think the fact that we're talking about a really strong community building, especially as a teacher, I'm really happy, and I know that that's going to be the glue that's going to keep catapulting us forward, because really you guys are, unfortunately, it feels like the guinea pigs, that are going out into the world again. And in branching out, and how you do this, the rest of the world will follow. No pressure, Lise. But it's like not at all, mind you. But the reality is that we have people who are so caring, as yourself, who are very wise and also follow their passion with their purpose. So it's going to benefit many people. So without further ado, I want you to give us some final bit of inspiration as we all, go embrace this new normal that we're experiencing and engage the world through a community mindset. What is the final bit of inspiration you want to leave us with tonight?
I think be kind to each other and lean on each other. I think there's too much anger and hatred, and I think small gestures. Be nice to the grocery store clerk. Be kind to the person that's not being so kind to you because they're probably struggling with something. I know these sound like trite, but I think that makes all of the difference for that person and for you. We need more positivity between each other. We need to get along a little bit better.
Yeah,
in the world right now.
I think that's amazing inspiration for this month of sweet September. Be kind to each other, people. You never know what people are going through. They might have their own demons they're dealing with, and certainly it's been a rough 2020. I mean, we all really need, it's been, like I said, 2020, make it stop.
Stop, make it.
We don't want 2020 to stop. We want it to continue its full force out to December, but we want the craziness and the unkindness to stop. So what Lisa said is beautiful. Be kind to each other and lean on each other, and let's take care of each other, which is really something that it would be an incredible shift towards some beautiful healing in this world. Certainly from any other thing than not just the virus that's hurting people in the hospital, but the virus of hatred we need to replace that with really that kindness that she speaks to. So I want to thank you again. This is awesome, Lisa. You know, I've been bothering you
having me on. This was really fun. I was scared to come on, but I had a great time.
It's fun, and always my intention is to have fun. So if we have fun, whoever hopefully heard something that will impact their life and make it a little easier. And certainly we welcome the community and the kindness and the hugs and the love and everything. But I really want to thank you, Lee. I really, love you, your spirit, your laughter, your joy, your inner, amazingness and your extraordinariness. Clearly, you are someone that anyone would be grateful to have on their team. And I'm very lucky that you are such a dear friend of mine. And I want you to all to remember, I really do, because sometimes you have to face your own fears to come on, because God only knows what I'll do, and I could be like out of my mind for who knows. But the thing is that like you said, you show up and you try it, and if you don't like it, you don't do it again. But at least you can say you tried it. So I want you all to remember that you're deliberate creators of your life. You've got to dream big, and let's all work together in this community that we live in to be kinder, nicer, and then we can enjoy the magic and miracles together, because it's always so much better when we're together. Let's love ourselves exactly how we are. Be gentle to ourselves, which is one of the things that Lisa is so amazing. Do what you can where you are, like you said, and let's continue to spread the love. It's time to manifest the life of our dreams, visualizing a more coherent, loving world so that our children will look up to us and have something to look up to. So Lisa, thank you so much. This is wonderful. Thank you to my audience for joining us once again. If you want the Magical Guide to Bliss, go on my webpage at megnocero.com. I'm going to put all Lisa's connections. Yes, thank you so much for the plug. And, if you want to get in touch with Lisa, certainly if any questions around teaching, she is an English as a second language teacher. She's amazing at what she does. And I'll put her information in the feed, and go out there and be kind to each other, like she said, and we can do this. We'll all do this, and we'll do it well. Good night, everybody.